Module 1, Introduction, the Greeks. Lecture 1D, Plato and Aristotle. Plato, 427 to 347 before the Common Era, was Socrates' student and the author of numerous dialogues, often featuring Socrates as the main character. It is often difficult to differentiate where Socrates' ideas end and Plato's begin. Both believed in absolute eternal values like justice, piety, goodness, and both believed that we can understand these virtues through the dialectical method of argumentation. We mentioned the disagreement between Heraclitus and Parmenides. Heraclitus believed that everything changes. Parmenides believed that change is an illusion. Plato taught that they were both right. In this material world, everything changes. But this world is a mere reflection of a spiritual, unchanging world known as the world of the forms. For example, think of geometric shapes like a triangle. Any triangle in this real world would be an imperfect reflection. You cannot draw a perfect triangle in this world. Perfect triangles exist only in the world of the forms. We can reach this world of the forms only through our mind, making Plato an early rationalist. In his famous dialogue, The Republic, Plato demonstrates his idea through his well-known allegory of the cave. Imagine a group of people in a cave, tied down so they cannot move and looking at shadows on a wall. They had been tied down their entire lives. To these people, the shadows on the wall are all of reality. Behind them is a light with various objects throwing the shadows, but they have never seen the objects nor the light, only the shadows on the wall. One man escapes and moves up towards the light. At first, that person is nearly blinded, but finally the man can make out the objects creating the shadows, and then eventually the light. The person goes back towards the wall of the cave to tell the people to escape and see the true world, but they do not believe him and eventually kill him. To Plato, the man who escapes and sees the true reality is Socrates. The shadows on the wall are the real material world in which we live. The object casting the shadows is the world of the forms. The light is the good. When Socrates tried to speak of the real world, he was put to death by the people of Athens. The goal of a philosopher is to use our mind to escape the changing material world and contemplate the perfect world of the forms. Plato spoke about seeing this with our mind's eye. In the world of the forms are mathematical truths like shapes and numbers, but there are also perfect, unchanging forms of all the objects in the world. For example, a horse in this world is constantly changing and will eventually get sick and die. It is a mere reflection of an ideal horse. So also, people in this world are imperfect projections of perfect people. Our bodies, which are of this world, decay and die, but our souls come from the perfect world, the world of the forms, and one day will return there. In a similar way, ethical ideas like justice and charity are imperfect reflections of the perfect forms. Plato's idea of a perfect spiritual world of the forms became an extremely influential idea in Western thought. The 20th century philosopher Alfred North Whitehead famously said, "All Western philosophy is a footnote to Plato." Through the work of Christian thinkers such as the Church Father Augustine of Hippo, 354 to 430 of the Common Era, Plato's ideas were combined with Christianity. The idea of heaven as the perfect spiritual place grew out of the work. But Plato's student Aristotle would disagree. He taught that you cannot have form without matter. If Plato's ideas would develop into rationalism, Aristotle's would develop into empiricism. Aristotle, 384 to 322 before the Common Era, was Plato's student for approximately 20 years. He was also the tutor of Alexander the Great. Eventually, he formed his own school known as the Lyceum. Many consider Aristotle to be the greatest philosopher who ever lived. In the Middle Ages, the Muslims Averroes and Avicenna, the Jewish Maimonides, the Christian Thomas Aquinas, would combine their respective religious faiths with the teaching of Aristotle. Aristotle broke with his teacher Plato over the existence of the world of the forms. He believed that you cannot have form without matter. Forms exist not in some spiritual realm, but only in this material world. In studying the world, Aristotle introduced the empirical method of studying and classifying living things. Many see him as the first scientist. As we mentioned above, Plato was a rationalist, Aristotle was an empiricist. Those words came into usage centuries later within modern philosophy. Aristotle said, "There is nothing in the mind that is not first in the senses." Perhaps the difference between Plato and Aristotle is best illustrated by the medieval painting by Raphael called School of Athens. The painting depicts the great philosophers of ancient Athens. In the center is a picture of an older Plato pointing upwards as if to say, the true world is above us in the world of the forms. Next to him is a younger Aristotle pointing outwards as if to say, the true world is the material world we live in. Aristotle taught that when we study the real world, we can see four causes for everything that exists. There is the material cause, what it is made of; the formal cause, its shape; the efficient cause, how it was made; and its final cause, what is its purpose. Aristotle taught that everything that exists has a final purpose. Here's a quick exercise. What are the four causes of a statue? Think about it. A boat, a tree, a human being. It's a good exercise. Aristotle's key idea is that everything, including human beings, has a final cause or purpose. An entire branch of philosophy disagrees with Aristotle, existentialism, which we will study in a future module. It teaches that we exist and then we find our purpose of existence. Jean-Paul Sartre taught existence comes before essence. We exist and then we create our final cause.